Good afternoon, and welcome to Hidden Histories live stream on Facebook. And today our program is about New Year's Day traditions. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kurt Fukuda. I'm one of the team members of the Hidden Histories of San Jose Japantown project. New Year's Day is the start of the calendar year. It's time to get a fresh beginning and make resolutions of what you want to do over the next 12 months. And we will be exploring the traditions of 3 Asian communities of San Jose Japantown: the Japanese, Chinese, and Filipino. Now, the new calendar year, which is New Year's, which is also called the civil year, begins on the first day, depending on what calendar you use. Now, many parts of the world, including the United States, uses the Gregorian calendar, which designates January the 1st as the New Year's Day. In Japan, they use January the 1st also, and they call it Shogatsu, or more technically, Oshogatsu. They put the O at the beginning for politeness. The Chinese New Year, which is also called the Lunar New Year, is the new moon of the first lunar month. And this year, the Chinese New Year will be on February the 21st, and this is the year of the ox. Now, we have a full show with a diversity of things to show you. During the show, if you have a story or a question, please type them in the chat. And at the end of the program, we will try to address everything, all right? Now, one of the big things about New Year's celebrations, besides going out and partying, except of course during the pandemic, is to enjoy food. And back in 1993, I decided to film my mother making food for Oshogatsu. And the reason why is because she had a lot of recipes in her head, and I wanted to capture them before they got lost. So there's going to be 3 segments with my mom preparing food for Oshogatsu. This one is the first one, and it's of her cooking rice, which is the most basic thing for food for Oshogatsu. As you watch the video, count how many times my mother washes the rice before she actually puts it into the rice cooker, all right? So here we go with the rice preparation.
Makizushi.
You know, kokuho, you don't use any Chinese rice.
Oh, you use the sticky Japanese.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What did you call it again?
Kokuho. Or you could use...
is that a brand? Or
yes, it's only a brand.
Oh.
And then you put a little bit mochigome.
Mochigome.
Gome means rice, uncooked rice. You sprinkle a little bit. This is Auntie Lily taught me this. And it helps to keep the rice softer longer. She learned it. And what you do is, gives me a chance to fold it like this. And get it ready, let it sit, has time to sit. It'll be all
ready.
Yeah. You want to try a little bit?
Sure.
What I should have done was just... Oh, it's okay.
That's all right.
We could roll a little bit.
We will later on. Yeah.
No, everything's ready, so I'm going to cook this rice ahead of time, and I'll show you how to do it. After you take all this outside whatchamacallit, then in order to rush to cook your rice, Grandpa taught me this. you have to take all this creamy, milky looking water. Then you use hot water, then that would rush the rice, and then you could make a couple of makizushi, you know? And who knows?
Well, I'm not that much in a hurry, so you
Oh, you're not in a hurry?
No.
Okay.
No. Just remember, today I'm pretty much on my own.
Well, it's up to you then.
So you can do it normal style.
Normal, wait till noon?
Yeah.
Okay. But if anybody's in the rush of cooking rice, even yourself, you togo it real good 1st, like this. And then the last couple of rinse, and then your final water is hot water from the faucet.
Oh, I see.
And then that rushes your rice cooker.
I see.
Or on the stove, whichever way you cook your rice.
Yeah, we use the rice cooker.
But if you use the rice cooker and you want rice, and you want it faster, put the last water and your measuring water hot from the faucet.
I see.
And it rushes it. Before you know it, it's done. But this is the part that takes a little time. And naturally, you do soaking it is nice for the rice. Don't ask me why, because that's the way I learned from Ma. But you do have to togo it good. Mom used to get so mad if it's not togo right. Somehow they could taste it.
I was going to say, how could they tell?
They could taste it. They say you didn't togo it enough. We used to get it when we were young. Of course, we used to cook a lot of rice because it was a big family. 7, 9 cups a meal. Oh yeah, after all, there were how many of us on this round table? No.
So that's how many cups rice?
4.
4 cups of rice.
You use the same cup regardless of what cup you use the same cup to measure your water. Don't change the cup. If you take the rice from this measuring cup, you take the water from the same cup.
Okay, and what is your proportion?
Mine is, wait a minute now, that's 4. And then half.
4.5 cups of water to 4 cups of rice?
Because it's going to sit. When I'm in a hurry, I put a little less.
Oh, a little less. Okay, but if you're going to let the rice sit. And,
oh, great! That's perfect.
And how long do you let the rice sit?
Oh, a couple hours.
Oh, couple hours.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why if you're in a hurry, the best thing to do is the last couple of rinse hot water and then measure hot water.
So there you have it. I think that was 10 times, 10 washings my mom did, and she would do it every time she had to cook rice. This was a process. She would wash the rice and let it set for 2 hours before she turned on the rice cooker. Anyway, so next we're going to talk about another part of Oshogatsu that's very important. It's the mochisuki, the making of the mochi. And our Susan Hayase and Tom Izu will give a little talk, and we're going to show a video of them pounding the rice to make the mochi.
One of the favorite Japanese American Oshogatsu foods is mochi, or pounded rice cake.
So sweet white rice is steamed, then crushed, and then pounded till it's a giant, hot, sticky blob, and then it's shaped into little round pieces.
They can be eaten with grated daikon or sweet beans, or toasted and dipped in sugar and shoyu. It's also commonly eaten in ozoni, which is a New Year's soup.
So today, a lot of the mochi available in stores, and also the community-made mochi for fundraising purposes, is made by machine. But the best mochi is hand pounded, the old way, in a big mortar called an usu with big mallets called kine.
Some Japanese American families still do it the old way with extended family and friends to help.
So Tom and I are really lucky because we've been invited for the past number of years to participate in the mochitsuki of the Kotake family on the east side of San Jose. And we're going to show a really brief video of us pounding mochi at the Kotake family mochitsuki.
Oh. I'm not supposed to hit the wall together by me.
Oh, very nice. Oh, very nice. Okay, next round, go. Yep.
It's really hard to pound that. It's actually a lot of work.
Yeah, that's if you're not very good.
It's kind of a cardio workout. It's the highlight of our year.
Notice a lot of people are staying far back.
Good. Perfect. All right.
So what happens next in the process? At the very end, you could see somebody coming in with a cutting board, and they lift out the big blob of pounded mochi, and they take it over to a table that's covered with either potato starch or rice flour, kind of like our background here. And then a whole bunch of people with clean hands start shaping the mochi into little round, flat balls. And do you want to...
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll end with a little story here. Now, some of you are familiar with the Nihon Mochi Outreach Committee or not, that Susan and I both were involved in for many years. The Nihon Mochi Outreach Committee helped with the UI Kai Senior Center's annual Mochitsuki one year. This is quite a while back. And Richard Konda, also one of the founding members of NOF, would bring out his family usu, the big stone bowl, and the mallets he had, and he would do kind of a demonstration pounding of rice to make the mochi. Most of the rest of the mochi made by UI Kai was done by machine, so this was just kind of a demonstration. And I remember that people were very excited to see these young people, we were young back then, pounding the mochi, kind of a reenactment of a community activist group called Asians for Community Action, which helped start mochitsukis for the senior center. And people would follow. There were hundreds of volunteers at the UI Kai mochitsukis, if you've been at that. And I noticed they would start following the rice, as Susan said, after it was pounded, because they wanted the hand-pounded rice. And at the time, I just really didn't know why they were doing this. And one of them said, "I can tell which one it is. You know how?" And I asked, "How?" He said, "There are little splinters in it from the mallets." And he was laughing. But anyway, it's been a part of tradition of Japanese Americans going all the way back, and even the Issei and the farm families used to do it. So we're really happy to be able to enjoy the Kotake family mochitsuki each year. Unfortunately, this year we couldn't because of the pandemic.
Yeah, so because of the pandemic, there weren't any community mochitsukis, and so there actually was kind of a run on mochi. I don't know if other people experienced this, but we stood in line for an hour to get Santo Market mochi, and that was really great. But anyway, we're looking forward to mochitsukis and both community and family mochitsukis next New Year. Anyway, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tom and Susan, very much. I hope no one lost any fingers during the pounding there. Anyway, we're going to turn our attention to Chinese New Year's now. And we have with us Connie Young-Yu, who's a historian, author, lecturer. And Connie will be telling a Highlandville story about Tsai, a Chinese dish for the New Year's, and she'll be showing how to make it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. And I wanted to say Gong Hei Fa Chao to everyone. And I'll be explaining how to make zai for Lunar New Year. And it's the zai that I'm going to be talking about is the one that is eaten for New Year's Eve. It's very special, has just amazing ingredients, quite a few of them. And my recipe comes from the old Chinese village of Hindmanville, San Jose. That's where my father, John C. Young, was born and raised, and he gave me the recipe. And I'll just tell you how Chinese New Year was celebrated in Hindmanville, Chinatown, according to the San Jose Mercury News. So this is an article, actually, it's a very large article from the San Jose Mercury Herald of January 25th, 1914. And you see there's the story is Chinatown celebrates New Year, and it says Orientals of San Jose decorate with flags of the New Republic, firecrackers, and gala attire today. So it was quite a big story. And this is a picture of my grandmother, and there's my dad. He's 1.5 years old, and he's holding the flag of the New Republic. And his brother, who's 3, is holding a larger flag, an American flag. And so it's quite a story because it shows Chinatown was getting respect because of a gorgeous, gorgeous celebration that was attended by, workers from all over the valley, and people like my grandfather had helped put up decorations of flags and lanterns and special candles painted with dragons and good luck symbols. So it was quite something. And over the years, my dad would always watch this, how the caretaker of the temple would make the dish called zai. Zai was something, it's a vegetarian dish that was eaten during New Year's, but very, very special. It had to be the dish that everybody shared on New Year's Eve. And can you imagine, this dish was made by the caretaker of the Gong temple for everybody in the village or everybody in Chinatown. So I'll tell you the ingredients that my father passed on to me. He said it was absolutely a fabulous, delicious dish, and it was eaten to nourish the spirit, the soul, and body, and prepare the person for all the good luck and good joy and good fortune that would be descending on the household the next day. So there are 8 essential ingredients, and I'm in my kitchen, and I got ingredients from the local Asian markets. You can get them at the Ranch 99 or Lion Plaza. So these are the 8 ingredients that I got that are essential, and there are a couple more I'll be adding. This is fujuk, which is, it's dried soybean curd. And then this is these dried mushrooms. These are the things that people, the caretaker would be soaking in great big vats. And I also want to say that after the caretaker would fry it up in batches, a Taoist priest would come and bless the zai. And the people from the stores would come and bring their pots and bring their share of the zai home. So you're going to be doing this for your family individually. And so we have the fujuk, the mushrooms, and we have ginkgo nuts. These are symbols of longevity and fertility and plenty. And this is bamboo shoots. That's 4. And then we have, this is fat choy. And actually it's dried, very fine seaweed threads. And that's very important because fat choy, it sounds like good luck, fat, and prosperity. And then we have, so I used to always buy the dried black fungus or lichen, and you could buy it in packages and soak it overnight. Now I buy it fresh. These are wood ears. It goes California mushrooms. So, and then this is vermicelli, bean threads, we call fancy. And then the special ingredient that binds it all together is fuyi. And this is fermented bean curd. It looks like bean curd, but has very strong, very pungent, wonderful flavor. So all these ingredients, after they're soaked and ready to be cooked, you get your wok or your pot with heated oil and stir fry it all together. And you're gonna let it steep in the sauces. And then for about, I'd say 20 minutes. The stir fry is very quick, of course, but then you cover it and have it on low heat. And then you add the 9th ingredient, which is oyster sauce. Now, the old recipe had dried oysters, but I feel that this is a wonderful sauce. It's very easy to use, and it's the same idea, ho yao, ho, because the word for oyster is ho, meaning good. So you have to have that in your zai. And then just before serving, you stir fry some bok choy, and choy, again, that wonderful word, bok choy, good fortune. So the completed zai looks like this. So it has all these ingredients. Actually, there are 12 ingredients. And you might have seen this in a Chinese restaurant, or and it's called Buddha's Delight, or lo hang jai. That's usually, served during New Year's or offered during New Year's. And then I share it with my jai with my neighbors. And when I bring the jai in a little modern container here, I usually attach a red envelope with a crisp new dollar bill. And this is a picture of the kitchen god. So that's a laisi. It's a lucky red envelope. And, my neighbor will stir up her own bok choy and maybe add some fancy to it and have a very nice vegetarian good fortune meal for the Lunar New Year. Thank you. It's been wonderful to share this with you. I'm very enthusiastic about zai, and I do make several batches over the New Year's.
Thank you so much, Connie. That looks wonderful. I wish I had lunch before I started doing this program. Now I'm really hungry. Anyway, okay, we're going to, you saw in that first video how many times my mom washed her rice. And now we're going to go to the second part, because after you cook the rice, you don't just put raw fish on it or roll it into makizushi. You have to actually season the rice to make it flavorful before you make the sushi for Oshogatsu. So we're going to be showing the second preparation of my mom making rice. And then we're going to immediately go into another video following. Now, the next video that'll be following my mother is we asked a couple of our hidden histories artists who come from Japan to talk about Oshogatsu and how their families celebrate it, because there are different ways of celebrating. So following the video with my mother doing the rice preparation, seasoning it, you will see Tamaki Fujino, who is from Osaka, and talking about Oshogatsu. All right, here we go.
if the rice is too hot, it just won't work, huh?
No, it's not that. You're not supposed to use it hot. And you're supposed to fan it, like this, as we take it out of there. And then put the vinegar mixture, which I made yesterday.
Okay, what's inside?
Vinegar is one. If I start counting ingredients, everybody might go yuck. But 1 to 1. 1 cup of vinegar to 1 cup of sugar. I use scant sugar. I don't use. You're supposed to use Ajinomoto, but we don't use any Ajinomoto. None whatsoever.
I see. So that's just vinegar and sugar in there.
And then you bring it to a low bubble. The moment it starts bubbling and then it gets clear like this, otherwise it's cloudy. Quickly turn it off, and then just cool it, and then bottle it.
I see.
And that, again, you could use it for namasu or salads or anything.
How long will this vinegar keep?
Oh, you keep it room temperature while you're going to make the... See, like I took out another bottle for makizushi. But it will keep about half a year or more.
Oh,
just keep it refrigerated. This is my sushi pan, I call it. I use it for only cooking.
Yeah, right.
Put away every year. And as you could see, it's curled on one end because I put it too close to the stove. But what you do is put it in here. Try not to mash it, so you cut through it.
I see.
But you have to cool this off.
Okay, so you're cutting through the rice.
You cannot mash it much as possible, but this is the process of cooling off. You cannot put the vinegar in there. At least we don't. I don't know these new style now, these new recipe. They might, but I do grandma's way. I only do her way. This is the old-fashioned way.
Okay.
And
so now we're gonna cool off the rice. You cool it off until you see no more steam, or what?
no, until it's. Just use your better judgment.
I see. What happens if you don't cool it off?
I don't know. Mom never did. They don't tell. I just don't know. I just do Mom's way. This way, I could sprinkle it. Yeah, sorry. Some people put in when it's hot, but then see, I don't know that style. So I can't say. And actually, they put lots of salt in here too. My mother used to, but we don't use salt.
Yes.
There's enough in it, actually. I'm sure vinegar and all those things has it. Don't you think so?
I think so.
So we don't use it.
So you just sprinkled a little bit.
No, you have to put more in.
Oh, I see. And of course, all these things is you add just to taste, personal taste.
Have to have Dad taste it too, because he always claimed he never get to taste it, and sometimes this is not enough or something like that. He has his complaints. So.
On the New Year's Eve, we wake up very early, like 5 a.m. or so, and then we start preparing osechi with my mom and then my grandma. And while they preparing osechi, we clean up like every rooms of my house to welcome New Year, I guess. And then like at night we go to shrine to sometimes we burn things we got from last year. I'm not sure what it's called, but we burn something we got from shrine, and then we get new one to keep it in the house. It's supposed to like kind of protect our house. On the New Year's Day, we eat osechi, of course, and then we eat also ozoni. Do you know ozoni? Yeah, ozoni. And then anything else. And also, we usually eat sukiyaki as a dinner on New Year's Day.
Now, when you make your ozoni, I was talking to Takeshi, and he says every area of Japan they do ozoni a little bit different.
Yeah, it's totally different.
How your family makes
I
ozoni.
think my family do white miso. So some people just do miso soup, and then there's different kind of miso, like red beans or like white beans, and then we usually use white miso, and then it's pretty similar to miso soup. It's not like really fancy, but we put mochi in there. When I was younger, like I do pray, hanafuda, or hanafuda.
Oh, the card.
Yeah, right. Yes, and hanafuda, or I say karuta. Do you know karuta? It's like this, the initial character of the sentence. Oh, let's see. Let me look up.
Okay.
It's called the 100 Poem by 100 Poets. Does that make sense? It's called Hyakunin issue. So
Okay.
there are like hundreds of cards created by Asian people. Like it's haiku basically, haiku or tanka, and then we like play game with those cards. We sometimes do, kakizome, which is calligraphy, and then we make our resolution with calligraphy.
Your brothers and sisters older.
Yes.
So, and you said they hang out with their friends. Is there a tradition that they do with their friends on New Year's?
Oh, they go to see sunset. Yeah. It's called
on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day.
Eve. So it's called Hatsu Hinode. So, 31st sunset of the year. So they leave house around like 10 p.m. of New Year's Eve and then see sunset. And then they go to shrine to do, omikuji and kind of stuff. That's
when you say a shrine, is this a Shinto shrine or a Buddhist shrine?
I'm not sure, but I think it's Shinto shrine. Mm-hmm. But you know what? People really don't care in Japan. they think, that like Japanese culture really comes from Shinto and then Buddhism, but like they don't know that they are from those cultures, and then they just do things without knowing what it is. Mm-hmm. Last year I hang out with Japanese friend, and then so we cannot make like really fancy osechi and stuff. So we just made Japanese food, like really like regular stuff like yakisoba, like stir fried noodles, and like just white rice, and then like barbecue, and then kind of stuff. And then, but I was trying to go to Japanese shrine in San Francisco, I guess. But like since COVID things coming, and then my boyfriend and I talking like, maybe we shouldn't go there. We should stay home, kind of. In here, I feel like Christmas and then Christmas Eve is like kind of biggest holiday. But like in Japan, Christmas is, I think my parents usually work during Christmas and then Christmas Eve, but they definitely have holiday January 1st to like 5th or so, like 5 days or so. And then we do mochitsuki, which is making mochi with, yes, right. We used to do it, but it's sad that like in my town or like in Osaka especially, like people getting older, and then we have like less children, so we stopped doing like many Oshogatsu stuff like mochitsuki or like visiting like families. We stopped doing like many cultures of Oshogatsu, I think. We just hang out with friends and playing games. That's people usually do.
That was Tamaki Fujino, one of the Hidden Histories artists, talking about Oshogatsu. And now we're going to take a short break for an announcement from Corinne Okada Takara, who's going to talk about a special Hidden Histories project.
Yes, hi, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm so hungry too, Kurt. This is great. We want to share with you that Hidden Histories, we are going to be starting a collaborative cookbook, and we would love to get your recipes. So I know that while I was watching this, my mind was percolating with ideas of different recipes, and I'm sure you all have wonderful holiday recipes too. So we will on Monday have up a forum on our Hidden Histories website, and maybe someone could throw that in the chat. And you will be able to submit your recipe idea. It doesn't have to be tied to New Year's. It could be any recipe from your family. The main thing about it is we have a spot for the recipe on the recipe for a story. So we're really interested in the stories that are associated with your recipe that you submit. So thank you so much, and we really look forward to sharing it with you. And we'll also be illustrating, so you can also submit an image, and we're going to create illustrations and include photos with our cookbook. Oh yes, so Sue's sharing some of the images. We have 2 submissions so far. This is from my daughter, how to make content and how to cut it traditional way. And then there's a very simple miso soup recipe I have in this as well. So yeah, thank you, Sue, for sharing that. And that's about it. So keep your eye out. Look at our website on Monday and think about what you might share. And we will have it as an online recipe that people can flip through and access. Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you, Corinne. Thank you very much. In Tamaki's video, you probably heard her talking about ozoni. Well, now we have a video with by the Imai family talking about making ozoni.
Hi, my name's Alyssa, and this is my brother,
Robbie. Hi, how you guys doing?
Today we're going to make ozoni soup. This was one of the things our grandmother made every morning for New Year's, and it's just one of our favorite things to eat.
Well,
mochi was always a big part of the temple, and we would always be there with grandma. You would be weighing the mochi, and then usually I'd be in the back helping pound mochi and steam mochi, and being able to eat it after making it was just a huge thing for us, and it's always been a part of the family.
All right, so we have 12 cups of water in our pot. The recipe calls for 4, but we're tripling it because it's a family dinner tonight. Usually you do about 1 teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half for 4 cups of water, but it really is to taste, so you should figure out what it is, start kind of small, and then go with what tastes right to you. And so now that I'm tripling it, so I'll have to do 6. Robbie's gonna stir for me. All right, that's 6.
So we're gonna start warming this up while we get all the other ingredients ready, so it'll be ready to boil all the vegetables.
And turn that on, nice and high. And then let me, can I taste it?
Yep.
And let me taste that, make sure it's strong enough. I think I need 1 more teaspoon, but after that will be good. So I'll keep preparing the broth if you want to start up the veggies.
Let's do that. So we already started cutting up our carrots. So you want nice, small, kind of about maybe 1 to 2 inch size pieces. Because you don't want them too big because they'll take too long to boil inside the pot. And you want these nice and soft so they're easy to eat. So we're going to cutting these up nice 1 to 2 inch size pieces. Whether you skin your carrots or not is kind of up to you. It's not that big of a deal either way.
All right, now that we have all our ingredients prepped and cut, it should be about 2 inch pieces or bite size so that it's really easy to eat. We're gonna take our greens. So we are adding mizuna and napa cabbage. You can also add spinach or shinjuku and add the whole thing to our boiling dashi's broth.
For our family recipe, the way our grandmother always done it, she always added cut up pieces of daikon and carrot to the recipe to add a little bit more crunch and a little bit more variety in the ozoni soup. So we'll be adding those into our soup today, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay, can you hand me the cabbage?
There you go.
Thank you. Add that to the soup. I like a lot of cabbage. There we go. All right.
And the daikon.
Daikon. And can you hand me the carrot?
Carrots.
Cool. So we're probably gonna let this boil. You can let it simmer on low for a long time in the morning if you want to prep it beforehand. Or you can store the whole thing in, probably let it boil for, I think it says 20 minutes.
You basically want to keep boiling it until you get it to a nice kind of consistency, or each piece is going to be, you want it to be nice and tender so it's easy to eat. If you want it a little crunchier, you can boil it for a little less time, but it's going to be on personal preference. A little longer, a little shorter, it's up to you.
So,
all right, so now that everything's boiled and nice and tender, come over here and dip into the pot. Delicious. All right, we'll start scooping out stuff.
scoop it all in there, it looks good. You should get lots of broth. There's the soup, and then we'll garnish with some kamaboko. I like to cut the little daikon flowers, so I'm going to put one of those in there. And a freshly grilled mochi cake. And this one is nice and ready and toasty, so I'll throw that right in there. All right, and that is ozoni soup. Ready to eat.
Thank you to the Imai family. That looked fantastic, and that's only made me hungrier now. Anyway, now we're turning to the Filipino culture, and we have Jaslyn Tugati here with us. Jasmine was born and raised in the Bay Area. She grew up in Daly City, which she says is the home to many Filipinos. She considers herself a first-generation Filipino American. She studied psychology and ethnic studies at the University of San Francisco, even took a Filipino history class. She was active in USF's Filipino Club. She now lives with her husband and 3 wonderful daughters. She's a hairdresser at Halo Salon, which is actually in San Jose, Japantown on 1st Street. She loves to cook and creates everything, healthy versions of Filipino food. So here we have Jasmine to talk about New Year's traditions for the Filipinos.
Hi there, thank you for having me. So, Filipino culture, when you talk about New Year's Eve, and close your eyes and imagine you're in a room full of 50 people that you're actually related to. That's a big, huge part of the tradition in our tradition in my family, actually, to celebrate with not only your parents, but also with your extended family, which for us was our aunts and uncles and cousins, and whoever was there was considered family. So very open, hospitable parties. And so the parties really centered around, from what I remember when I was a kid, it's centered around the big dining table in the living room where everybody gathered to eat. And also a lot of commotion was in the kitchen. And because there was so much food on the table, it was ridiculous. We'd have to use other tables and decanter space for other things. But when you look at the all the commotion going on in the party, and reflecting on it now as I'm an adult and a mother, you look back and yeah, the food actually had a purpose, and the traditions they had a purpose. Yes, that's right, Emma. That's my 1-year-old. So the foods that we have are basically pancit, which is the Filipino version, like the noodle versions, or noodle dishes. And there's so many different pancits out there. And I'm Ilocano, so my family is from Ilocos Norte up north in San Fernando, La Union. And we had pancit, I believe it was pancit guisado with the sotanghon noodles, which is bean thread noodles or vermicelli noodles. So I believe I have that right behind me. I got this at a restaurant because it's so time consuming to make, but it's so delicious. And I placed lumpia on top. So this is the lumpia, and you can see these are the bean thread noodles. And usually there's a mixture of like sweet snow peas and chicken, Chinese sausage. Oh, it's so good. But pancit is also very regional. So the popular recipes are palabok or guisado or lomi. When I first started to make Filipino food, learn how to make Filipino food, I started off just like this, just like we had in our family parties. But then there's so many people, I had to add more noodles, and I combined 2 recipes. So I put vermicelli noodles and I put canton noodles, which are, I believe, wheat noodles. So 2 noodles in one make a lot of pancit for everybody to enjoy. So the pancit, the noodles, they symbolize long life. And in every party in the Philippines or any traditional celebration, birthdays, New Year, everything, noodles definitely represent long life. And it's really good and filling. Another thing that we have at the table would be sticky rice. And the sticky rice desserts would consist of things like bibingka, which is made out of sweet rice that's ground up and steamed, or my husband's favorite, made by our auntie Esther on his side, on the Balaso side, is the sapin sapin. It's so complicated to make. It's sweet rice mixed with ube, which makes the purple layer, and I think it's lanka or pandan, which is green, and then the top layer, I think, I forget. I think it's just plain sticky rice. So it's like this beautiful representation of sticky rice in 3 layers. It's so complicated to make, but thank goodness I have my cookbook to go by, and I have some pictures that I want to show you about what that looks like. So right here is that's bibingka right there. If you can look at that, that's bibingka. And this is some kind of awesome ube concoction. And these are all kind of sweet breads from around the Philippines. So, and plus, you'll see the round shape, and I'll get to that later. Another favorite one of mine is it's called the tupig, and that's something my dad was famous for making, and it's sweet rice inside of banana leaves. And so in the Philippines, the way you make it, where you charcoal grill it, but we lived in Daly City. It was too cold for my dad to go out there and do the grill, so he baked it in the oven. And I just remember, piping the sweet rice into these banana leaves, rolling it and sticking it in the oven. And to this day, it's just the most favorite, especially among the kids and his grandkids. And it's something I have to learn. It's not in a cookbook. It's definitely passed down like that. So the sticky rice represents the bond that you would have within your family, and to keep that for the new year and going forward. And then also another thing too, there's something about like roundness during the New Year's. And I don't think we practice this much in our family because it's fruits, and there's just so much food around. We just got caught up in sticky rice and cakes and stuff. But the fruits, and from what I understand, you're supposed to have 12 round fruits. Like, I know we don't carry a lot of fruits in my house, but tomatoes are a fruit, so they're round, or oranges, or anything round. In particular, grapes. When midnight hits, you're supposed to have a grape in your mouth and jump as high as you can. And for little kids, and my sister told me this, little kids, you're supposed to jump 12 times, I guess, for each month of the year. And the higher you jump, the taller you grow. So I remember my cousins, I have a lot of cousins. I have about 20 cousins and one sister. And I they're basically siblings to me. So remember us just, when midnight hits, I'll jump in the air. And another thing too with the roundness and the superstition is you throw coins in the air, which seems a little dangerous for kids to have coins in the air, but that symbolizes balance. I'm wearing polka dots today, so you wear polka dots, the round fruits, the coins I had back there. We threw that in the air. And making lots of noises, as my daughter Zoe here will demonstrate. You make a lot of noise, like screaming and banging on things. Go ahead. She's a little camera shy. So you bang and make loud noises, and that drives out the evil spirits. But at the same time, you open windows, and that open windows and doors, and that invites good fortune into your house. And another thing too, another superstition, and I thought it was just me, maybe it was passed down, is to clean the house. My daughter laughs because I get a little overcarried. I do it a little bit too much, but just to clean the house before New Year's. But New Year's Day, you don't clean house, or you don't spend money at all. Because if you clean New Year's Day, then you clean out the good fortune that you let in when the doors are open. So, and that one is a really hard one for me to do because I have 3 little ones running around the house. But we had a good New Year's Day. The house was clean, right, Zoe? Yeah, for the most part. What else is there? And then, at the end of it, family is very, very important. I remember, growing up having to be around family because to me and our family, who you see New Year's Eve and who you are with will be with you throughout the year, and hopefully, as far as the future as you can go. Um, so and then in the American tradition too, when midnight hits, you kiss the person that you will be with hopefully forever. So imagine, midnight hits, you kiss your husband, and you kiss your kids, and you kiss your mom and dad and your siblings, and you go around the house and you could be kissing someone on a cheek that you just kind of met that day, but they're your relative. So yeah, that's definitely Filipino American tradition. Fortune, family, good food, lots of food.
Thank you so much, Jaslyn. Those were wonderful, wonderful things you shared. Thank you very much. And we have a few more traditions to share. We are looking at the clock. We're going to run over. We thought the show was going to be an hour, but we're going to run a little bit over. I hope everyone's patient because we got a lot of great things still coming up. Next, you saw my mother. I filmed in 1993, preparing the rice, seasoning it. Now you'll see her and my sister and her rolling the sushi for Oshogatsu. That video will be followed immediately with another one of our hidden histories artists, Takeshi Moro, who is from the Tokyo area of Japan. He will talk about how his family celebrates Oshogatsu. All right?
This is my mother's old-fashioned way. They just don't use this anymore. They just put sesame seed, plain rice. As you noticed, if you look at this sushi bar and stuff, I don't think they put this in anymore.
And what do they call this vegetable mixture again? Just the vegetable mixture.
Yeah. With it's almost the same thing as makizushi no thing. The kampyo and shiitake
and carrots.
And carrots.
And all cooked in a dashi.
Oh, definitely. Like I say, somehow Dad likes that little stuffing in there too, because his mother done it.
I see.
But nowadays, the modern one, no way. They don't use any of this stuffing.
I see, and that's just sesame seed you added. What do you call that again? The sesame seed?
Goma.
Goma.
Toasted goma. That's why, it dawned to me. I was telling Dad, I don't even know if the Hawaiians like goma. Nigiri.
Oh, yeah, they do. Love it.
Oh, well, we're going to make plain rice.
Okay, so now you take one of the ages.
These are not the fanciest age.
Okay, now you put a little bit of su on it.
To kind of moisten your hand. And then these are not the fanciest age, but we get the small one because you know what? I can't see people just trying it out and then not liking it and just leave the whole clump. You know how big the other ones are before. But I'll do one more and that's it, okay? Because I want Dad to taste it. But what you do is just put just a little bit rice in. Not too much. It's supposed to be like this. That's it.
They call these fox ears, right? Fox ears.
Like this. See? Just like this. Inari is a fox.
Oh, that's what it means.
Can't put too much rice in. Sometimes I have a tendency to fill it too much. But you're not supposed to. And besides, a lot of this is, it comes torn from this, package. I'm going to let Dad taste this and see what he says.
Okay.
Dad, could you taste this? Because I don't want to stuff it unless you taste it. See if there's enough vinegar or not. Gee, take a bite, a little bit at a time.
Just right.
Just right?
Mhm.
Ooh, how about that?
So now you're adding the soup to the rice.
And like I told you, this is plain. You don't mix any vegetable with it.
Okay, just get the nori ready.
And you put it down towards the far end of the.
Right, the front of the screen.
I tell you one thing,
Add
Kurt.
a little bit of.
Joyce is good at making it tender more than me.
Okay, good. Well, then I'm getting it on.
But then I don't.
Yeah, but the first one's always the.
I know it. It's a sort of a trial thing.
How much
After
rice do you
all.
put on?
Well, she's going to show it for you.
Well, enough to make a certain thickness on your nori.
We make them skinny, we make them fat, we make them all
Right.
sizes. And nobody better complain because we ain't listening.
Spread it evenly.
How thick do you have it here? Let's
Looks like
I'll
about
get
quarter inch or
quarter
so.
inch thick.
A little bit thicker. Start putting on some of your vegetables.
Okay, that's the what? Gobo?
No, that's what is that? What do you call this thing? Campio. You got the carrots.
Campio in it, Joyce.
That's
And then you got the gobo.
Mm-hmm. That's you put a little bit. They don't seem to like the chewy root.
Really, I like it. And then some mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms. And then you've got your unagi, which is your eel.
Very little.
Cooked eel.
Why very little?
Because some people don't like the strong fish taste.
Wait till somebody finds out there's sakana in there. They'll go,
Okay, and then you just roll it.
move those nori, Joyce. That's in the way.
You know, and you keep on rolling it. Roll it up, and hopefully your stuffing is in the center. I don't think so, but
we don't look.
Hopefully.
But we better cut one and try, Joyce.
Right. I don't know
What
why.
is it? Bad luck if it isn't in the middle?
No, it's bad luck if you don't have the odd number of ingredients, right? All right. Well, that's the first one. They get better.
You don't even have enough room, do you? Oh, I better not. Just put some mare on there.
All right.
Oh, perfect.
That looks good, Joyce.
Not perfect, but, well, whatever.
That looks real good.
Just don't show the right side.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh-huh.
All right. There you go.
Very good.
Very good. Excellent.
I think it looks nice. It looks tasty enough to...
Okay.
Here.
Tasty enough to eat.
Tasty enough to eat.
There are two things that I recall, and it continues to this day, except for the COVID stuff this year. But a couple of things. So one is that my father, as long as I've really known, he makes a trip to Takaozan. Takaozan is, I think, it's one of the taller mountains in the outskirts of Tokyo. You know, Mount Fuji is quite far and it's steep, so you're not going to climb that every year. Or maybe you will, but not my father. So he would go to Takaozan, and there's a temple at the top of the hill, the mountain, and then he would buy the omamori. You know, the omamori is what they give out at the temples for good fortune, good luck. And so as long as I've known, I mean, he goes every year, and he gets a sticker to put on his car. So a car he had for like 15 years or 20 years, he had stickers every year, and so the back windshield, got completely, it's almost like it was full of stickers you couldn't see. I try to go with him. The issue is that we have to get up at like 3 a.m. in the morning because he wants to, we want to look at the first sunrise. And I think that is a big deal, the first sunrises of the year. So we would leave early in the morning, get to the top of the mountain to see the sunrise. And then in terms of food, my mother will be cooking food for Oshogatsu, osechi ryori. There are what I think is interesting about osechi ryori, or maybe it's a peripheral to it, is the ozoni. Ozoni, yeah, the ozoni is the soup with a mochi in it. And if you, depending on where you are in Japan, the flavors are very different. For example, we're from Tokyo, so the broth is soy sauce based. If you go to Kansai, Osaka, Kyoto area, I believe they use miso based soup, and then it differs from regions. That's just two examples. My wife is from Kagawa, so her region is very interesting. Is that they use a miso-based soup, but the mochi, inside the mochi they put sweet red bean paste in it. So it's this sort of sweet and savory dish that they have. It's very particular to that region. And I first tried it, and I loved it. And so this year, actually, my wife made that at home, and the kids loved it too. It has symbolic meaning. For instance, these black beans that are how do I say it? It's boiled and sweet, and you're supposed to, I think, eat a certain number, and it's good fortune. Shrimp with the head and everything still on it, I think is also good fortune. And there are things like that. I wish I had a better description of this. But as a kid, I think we all fought for the kurikinton. Kurikinton is chestnuts, and I believe sweet potatoes. And it's sweet, and because it's sweet, the kids. As a kid, I loved it, and so it's sort of mashed sweet potatoes and chestnuts inside it, in it, and then there are various fish dishes and meat dishes. I think in recent days, the osechi ryori, the traditional osechi ryori, has become much more eclectic. I mean, I remember the last time we were in Japan, I think my mom had actually ordered one that was more Chinese food cuisine based rather than the traditional Japanese. And then the other little nugget of information that I think I recall, hopefully I'm not disseminating misinformation here, but my understanding with the osechi ryori is that they're foods that can be eaten over a few days, because in the past stores would close, and perhaps you didn't have as good of a refrigeration, so you would make this food leading up to the New Year's, and you would have food that would keep for 3 or 4 days, so that you wouldn't have to go to the stores because they're closed. we were living in Plymouth, which is a rural town, and they didn't have Japanese food at the time. So I think we ordered food from London, or at least groceries from London. And my mother prepared what was she, of the little groceries that Japanese groceries you could get. She prepared it that way. And a little bit like that here, I suppose, right? I mean, you can get here in California, in the Bay Area, you have so many grocery stores, Asian grocery stores, that it's relatively easier to make a traditional sechiruri. But there's certain things you can't get here, but you make do with it. So. For whatever reason, my older daughter knew the concept of otoshidama. Otoshidama is you get a little pocket money for New Year's, and it really is cash. And she says, "Well, so where's my otoshidama?" And of course, like this happens all the time, is when I'm in trouble, I just ask my wife, "Go and ask your mom." So my wife quickly, made a little envelope that would, she just put 100 yen coin in there and give it to both of our daughters. So, but otoshidama is another tradition, I suppose I should say. And, the range of how much you would put in there, would change over how old the kids are. But yeah, so I suppose we try to celebrate some traditions that we grew up with in Japan, but I suppose that's what happens in first and second generation, third. Is it the culture? I suppose some things get passed down and some things don't, and it's just the way it is, I suppose.
Thank you very much to Takeshi Moro for sharing about Oshogatsu. Now we're going to have an announcement by Brenda He Wong.
Thank you, everyone. Hi, I'm Brenda Wong, and I represent CHCP, the Chinese Historical and Cultural Project. CHCP has a youth group called the Student Docent Cultural Ambassador Program, and the youth have presented to you a very attractive trifold brochure celebrating Chinese New Year, which this year will be the Year of the Ox, beginning on February the 12th. The ox is the second of the 12 lunar zodiac animals. On the inside page of their trifold, they talk to you about characteristics and symbolism of those born in the Year of the Ox. So if you're celebrating your 12th birthday or the 21st birthday, or you're born in 1961, we wish you much longevity because you have a big milestone of your 60th birthday. We also share with you traditions and greetings. So in this panel, everyone, you'll be able to practice some Chinese, both in Cantonese and Mandarin. If you're a youngster and you practice one of these good luck greetings very well, say it to an elder, and you might get a surprise by receiving something of fun in a laisi or hongbao. And lastly, in their brochure, they share with you some traditional Chinese foods shared in the new year. So this very attractive brochure will be available to you online through chcp.org and Hidden Histories, jtown.org after February 3rd. So thanks so much for joining, everyone. We wish you Gung Hei Fa Choi, wishing you much happiness, wealth, and prosperity in the Year of the Ox 2021. Thanks.
Thank you, Brenda, for your announcement. Now, checking our input from the audience, we have some traditions shared by Franco Imperial, who's the artistic director of the San Jose Taiko, and he shares a lot of what Jaslyn shared. He mentions that on New Year's they had 12 rounded fruits like oranges, grapes, kumquats, mangosteen, tomatoes, and so forth. And they're to represent the prosperity, 12 rounded fruits for the 12 months of the year. And he also mentioned that from his mom that You open the front door to let the new year in, and of your house, you open the back door to let the old past air out. And of course, you make a lot of noise with fireworks and noisemakers. Now, Sue Yuen, our project manager, has some thing to share about New Year's in Hawaii.
Yeah, in New Year's in Hawaii, it's all about fireworks. I'm a Japanese American born and raised in Japan, so not in Hawaii, but we did mochitsuki, we did rolling the maki sushi, we did a little bit of osechi, but all of my memories are about fireworks and firecrackers, everything. And at midnight, we did like long lines of firecrackers, and that was back when it was all legal. And to this day, if I smell firecrackers, I immediately think about New Year's Eve. Now it's illegal. I think the Hawaii passed a law where the most you can buy is for cultural purposes, and it's only a small string of, I think, 5,000. And yet somehow people manage to get fireworks all over the island. You'll see fireworks going off at midnight. Anyway, that's what I remember.
Thank you so much, Sue. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you to all our wonderful guests who shared their stories and the traditions of New Year's. Thank you to the Chinese Historic and Cultural Project. And of course, thank you to the Japanese American Museum of San Jose, because Hidden Histories is a project of the Japanese American Museum of San Jose. Be sure to visit their website, which is jams.org, JAMSJ.org, for their latest news. And also, please donate to the museum. And please join us next month. On February the 6th, we're going to have another one of these live streams, and this one is about the Day of Remembrance. And in March, we're going to have a special program on gambling in San Jose, Japantown. All right. Thank you so much to everybody, and have a very safe and happy day. Thank you.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.